Hey guys, Dan here over Zoom alongside Tim. Hey Tim.
Hi, everybody.
It is time once again for Dan Does Disney as we go through the movies from this would be the anniversary year, I guess. We're going through all these 1962 movies.
Yeah.
And this is the latest one, Bon Voyage. It's another Fred MacMurray classic with Jane Wyman. Is this the first time we've seen Jane Wyman in a Disney movie?
No, she was in Pollyanna.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay, I know her best from the gag in Back to the Future.
Yeah, she's the first.
Right, classic first lady. But of course, Fred MacMurray we've seen many times. Tim will go over all of that information as he does. But this movie was I guess it wasn't really opening of the summer back then. May was not summer. Summer counted as like mid-June through September, I guess. But nowadays, May 17th, that would be hardcore summer.
Yeah.
But so this was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, costume design in color. I guess they differentiated between the two, and then sound as well. And it lost both of them. One of them was to The Wonderful World of the Brothers Grimm. That was the costume design. And the sound won to Lawrence of Arabia. No surprise. That basically swept the Oscars that year. So this is based on a novel of the same name by Mary Jane Hayes and Joseph Hayes. And this was originally bought by Universal to make a film over there, and that never materialized. So it ended up in Walt's hands. So at this point in time, Disney had come under some fire for catering to middle suburban America only, and especially with catering to children only, and some of the ones we've seen, Tim, I think Babes in Toyland, and speak to definitely aging things down.
Yeah.
Absent-Minded Professor, like we enjoy, but I think those were mostly marketed to kids, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So anyway, so he heard about this book or however it happened and bought the rights to it. And his heavy emphasis in his movies and the TV shows on The Wonderful World of Disney being focused on the nuclear family. And he wanted to sort of shed this squeaky clean image. Disneyland, the show and the theme park were, very, very kid friendly. And that's the whole bit. So he decided to buy this property, which focuses on the struggles and friction between mother, father, and children. And Tim will get into the plot details on that. So our good buddy Ken Anakin, who had directed a bunch of the other Disney movies we've talked about, he was originally going to direct with a couple of our buddies. James MacArthur and Janet Monroe were going to star in that version. Somehow that fell apart, and then we have the director we have now, but also Jimmy Cagney had been offered the role. He turned it down. So there you go. All right. So in terms of the filming of the movie, most of the ship scenes were actually filmed on the SS United States, which is in South Philly still. It does still exist, and I don't know if that's one of the ones you can tour. Have you ever been down to the docks, Tim? On I forget, right off of South Street.
Yeah, no, I've walked down there and saw some ships, but I've never done anything else than that.
Yeah, I have not either. I want to say my dad has. He's a big history buff, but yeah, I've sort of seen them there, but never toured them. But they did film the French stuff actually in Paris and on the Riviera. And this was a big sort of turning point for Tommy Kirk in his Disney filmography, because he had a big showdown with both of the top stars here. He said Fred MacMurray gave him the biggest dressing down of his life during this movie, and he said that he did deserve it. And he said, I'm going to quote here, "I really liked him very much." This is talking about Fred MacMurray, "but the feeling was not mutual. It hurt me a lot, and for a long time, I hated him. I was sort of looking for a father figure and pushed him too hard. He was a nice person, but I was too demanding and came on too strong because I wanted to be his friend." And then Jane Wyman and him really butted heads there. He said she was very mean. She went out of her way and was a total bitch, is the quote. And I think she was also homophobic. At this point, Tommy Kirk had been coming out, I guess, to those around him. Until he died, I didn't know that whole background with him being gay. But obviously the people at Disney did at the time.
Yeah, I think people during this movie, people were slowly figuring that out.
Yeah.
Then,
and as we'll see, when Tim tells us about the story, I mean, he is played off here as this, romantic Lothario, and it's such a lady killer and all of that. So we'll get into maybe how that played off on the camera, but anyway, that's all I really have in the background. It is a bit of a Disney park legacy, as you can have the Bon Voyage breakfast in Walt Disney World at the boardwalk, apparently. And I looked at the menu. It looks like some pretty good stuff, but yeah, it's a lot of like French types of cuisine.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was unaware, but apparently it's quite popular. So that's all I really have. Tim, why don't you tell us about some of the actors here and the plot of this Bon Voyage?
Yeah, so like Dan said, Bon Voyage is based off the 1956 novel by Joseph and Mary Jane Hayes, who wrote it while taking a cross-Atlantic trip. They got inspiration from that. So here we have the Willard family from Terre Haute, Indiana, and they travel abroad for a once-in-a-lifetime vacation in Paris, France. Harry, the head of the family, just wants a relaxing vacation with his wife and 3 children, but he seems to only find an unending series of comedic adventures / hijinks. And then the cast-wise, we have Fred MacMurray. He plays Harry, the father figure. This is the 3rd time we've seen him. We've seen him last in The Absent-Minded Professor. Before that was The Shaggy Dog. He has 4 more movies after this. And then the next one is Son of Flubber. So we have Jane Wyman. She plays Katie, the mom. We saw her once before as Aunt Polly in Pollyanna, and this one is her last Disney movie, so we will not see her again. But famously, as Dan mentioned before, she was married to Ronald Reagan before Ronald Reagan became president. And then
before Nancy.
Yeah. So there was the famous line from Back to the Future about that. She is an Oscar winner for lead actress. We mentioned this before. It was for a 49 movie called Johnny Belinda. She has a couple other nominations as well, and she's a 2-time Golden Globe winner. Once for Falcon Crest, which is a TV show she does after this for a really long time, and another one for Blue Veil, which is I believe one of the movies that she was also nominated for an Oscar but didn't win, but she won the Golden Globe that year. We have Tommy Kirk. He plays Elliot, the older son. We last saw him in Moon Pilot, and then before that, Babes in Toyland. And we have
3 in a row with him.
Yeah. And then 4 more movies after this. Next one up is Son of Flubber, once again with Fred MacMurray. We have Kevin Corcoran. He plays the youngest son. His name is Skipper in this movie. We last saw him in Babes in Toyland. And we'll see him in Savage Sam coming up in a couple years, which is also with Tommy Kirk. So they're always together, so makes sense. And then playing the oldest child, the daughter, we have Deborah Wally. She is in one other Disney movie, which is Summer Magic. She goes on to she has a healthy career in a bunch of beach movies, kind of like Annette Funicello does.
Yeah, she was actually in one of the most famous Annette movies, which was Beach Blanket Bingo.
There we go. And then she's in a movie with Elvis called Spin Out. And apparently after that movie, they had a good lasting friendship after that movie. And she was Photo Play's most popular actress of 1961. I believe that might have been because of Gidget Goes Hawaiian, maybe. And that's why she got this role as playing Gidget in Gidget Goes Hawaiian. I was not aware that I knew that there was a Gidget TV show, but there's a handful of movies and a handful of TV shows as well, and not one actress who plays Gidget reprises her role in all of it.
Yeah, do you know why that was? It was because it was such a specific time. I'm sure you've never watched the show, but Sally Field played Gidget on the show, and I was a big fan. And I've seen it actually a few times all the way through. But yeah, like it basically Gidget has to essentially be like 15 or 16 or so. So every like couple years when they made the movies, they would just age out. So I mean, I guess they could have pulled it off maybe, but yeah, for whatever reason, they just went with a different actress every time.
Yeah, and even there's a Gidget Grows Up. They when she did grow up, they cast someone new.
Yes, the new Gidget was a TV show in the 80s. And of course, by then Sally Field was the big star, so it wouldn't have been her. But yeah, it was this 30s gal, living her life in, one of the original reboots, really, Tim.
Yeah. And I mean, I imagine that would have been the Janet Monroe role, which I'm actually a little sad about. I think Deborah Wally does a decent job here, but I think Janet Monroe just has a little bit extra to her.
Yeah, and we haven't seen her in a little while.
We don't see her again. She signed that like 3 or 4 picture contract, and she only did a couple.
That's right.
They never did anything else with her. And then you have Michael Callan. He plays Nick O'Mara, who is Amy's love interest in this movie. He is a Golden Globe winner for Most Promising Newcomer in '61. Because for something called Because They're Young. Surprisingly, he was also nominated the previous year in '60, but did not win that year. And he was cast in this movie from appearing in the play West Side Story. So,
what role was he?
I couldn't see. It's because it's a play. So I imagine he looked like a Tony. I mean, that would be my guess.
I could see it.
Yeah. So that's the main cast here. Subplots of this movie is you have Tommy Kirk. He thinks he's a ladies' man. He's just trying to find love. And then you have Kevin Corcoran. He's just getting in trouble as always. Deborah Wally's falling in love with this Nick O'Malley's character. And that's probably the biggest story arc between all the kids wise is that it's like on again, off again. He comes from a well-off family, and that kind of rubs her the wrong way of like, he just has everything and it's not willing to work. And there's just hijinks throughout this movie.
Yes, they were sure trying for some hijinks.
Yes. Yeah.
It was basically, to me, it reminded me of a 60s version of like a National Lampoon Vacation kind of movie. Like these guys are a little bit less than classy. Fred MacMurray gets drunk at the party and, gets stuck in the sewer and does all of these sort of comedic things. And the kids are sort of running all over the place. And yeah, it just sort of reminded me of that sort of ugly Americans abroad trope that, the vacation movie sort of made famous.
Yeah, it definitely lays the groundwork for type of movies like that. And then later on with like Road Trip or Euro Trip, that, I mean, it definitely lays the groundwork. I don't know if all the bits work for me, but is it because I'm a little bit older and I have the vacation movies that do it so well, or even Road Trip or something like that, I'd make it a little bit more raunchy and more adult themed, where yes, I can see Walt trying to shed that squeaky clean image, but I mean, there's nothing really in this movie that would offend people of these days. I mean,
not these days, although back, I don't know. I mean, I think they were definitely speaking a little more frankly. I mean, they never said the word sex, but I mean, I think they were definitely talking a little bit more, I'm not dirty, but a little more blue than some of the other films. I mean, the one scene, there's like that woman who I think we assume is an escort, where she's talking to Tommy Kirk. And then, there's definitely some talk about Fred MacMurray possibly, cheating on his wife with this other woman and leaving the party, whatever. And so I don't know. I think for the time it was probably mildly shocking to some audiences who were used to, some violence and some, murdering of Bambi's mom, but nothing at all remotely sexual or even innuendo wise.
Yeah, I mean, I did find it a little shocking of the swimsuit outfit that Deborah Wally wore, because I mean, I know from reading about Annette Funicello is that the reason that she left Disney is Walt didn't like her doing all the beach movies, but then he throws this other girl from a beach movie into a beach scene with pretty revealing swimsuit, I would say, for the time being.
Yeah, very real. I mean, this is the era when what was it? Jeannie on I Dream of Jeannie couldn't show her belly button, but here we have this pretty revealing bikini. I will say, speaking of the beach movie, so Michael Callan, I learned about West Side Story. He played Riff.
Oh,
he played Riff on Broadway, but he is also in Gidget Goes Hawaiian.
Oh, so
they had that back and forth, I guess.
Yeah, so they probably got cast together because they had. I felt like they had decent chemistry.
Yeah, I think they had better chemistry than a lot of people in this movie. I felt like, and I sort of wish we saw this, a year or two ago before we learned a little bit more about Tommy Kirk and his background, because it seemed, now that I know certain things, it seems incredibly forced to have him in this sort of Lothario role. I also felt like Kevin Corcoran is getting a little too old to be doing these kinds of roles.
Yeah, I feel like they must have filmed this prior to Babes in Toyland, though, because I've definitely thought he was younger looking in this than he was in Babes in Toyland.
Yeah, I feel like Babes in Toyland was kind of a rush job, so that doesn't surprise me. This was like on location. But he I think was 13 when he filmed this. He was playing 12. They mentioned his age, but it reminded me of like when Leave It to Beaver was in its like 5th and 6th season, and like he was trying to get in these things that it's like, okay, dude, you're 14. Like, how are you still doing things like an 8-year-old should be doing? I wasn't too amused at any of that stuff. It's way too long too. We didn't talk about the length yet.
How long is it?
It is 2 hours and 11 minutes, which is, I think, other than Pollyanna, I think it's the longest one. How long was 20,000 Leagues? That was over 2, right?
That was over 2 as well.
Okay, so but it's up there. But yeah, I mean, this went 2 hours and 11 minutes. To me, you could have honestly, I know, they have to put Tommy Kirk and Kevin Corcoran together all the time. You could have excised Kevin Corcoran's entire character from the movie and focused on what they wanted to focus on anyway, which is the love stories between the daughter and then Tommy Kirk and then the parents, and just like, I feel like they put him in to appeal to the little kids that would be watching. I felt like this movie didn't know who it was made for. Like, it feels like it's too juvenile for adults to really like. And it's certainly too grown up for the 6, 7, 8-year-olds that watch a lot of Disney's movies at the time. So I just was sort of a little bit lost as to like what they were even trying for.
But if you got rid of Kevin Corcoran's character, then you lose my favorite bit of the movie, which
The
is
sewers?
not particularly when they go into the sewer, but when he's trapped in the sewer and he's trying to get out and he has his little finger up and he's just like trying to get out.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay, a couple things. Tim, that was one of my least favorite parts of the movie, and I'll tell you why. It made no sense that the policeman, Tommy Kirk, everyone was seeing this finger coming out, even saying, like, oh, maybe there's a man stuck in there. And then nobody does anything. Nobody helps him. They just say, all right, well, I guess we'll just let that guy with his stupid finger, you know. Also, and I don't know how much this was on purpose, but I get that Walt was trying to age up his movies a little bit, be a little more mature. It looked when his finger first came out of there, it looked like a penis. So right there, I'm like, what are we doing in this movie? And then when the cops like didn't do anything about it, I was just like, this is now gone completely off the rails.
I thought it was funny. I did funny. I mean,
look, Fred MacMurray did well with it. You know, he was the frustrated, stuck man. I got it. But that's when the movie just went completely off the rails for me.
Yeah, but I mean, Tommy Kirk did point out to the police officer. I mean, I did think it was kind of humorous that the police officer then brought another police officer over, and then they just shrugged it off. I thought that was kind of humorous. It wasn't
laugh.
It wasn't realistic.
No.
And then on top of that, when he finally gets back, I love the line of dialogue from Kevin Corcoran where he's like talks about how they should have went to the Louvre because it was really nice.
Yeah, that was fine. That was good. And look, I didn't mind that they did the little bit in the beginning where they're stuck on the luggage thing or whatever. That was fun. You know, I okay, we're gonna do a little physical comedy, like okay, but I never really like laughed at anything in this movie. I thought they were really, I don't know, trying hard for something that was a big swing and a miss.
Yeah, I did like the fact that he had that little tiny cup of wine. I thought that was nice.
Yeah, that was good. Look, he stands up from the table and he's so drunk he buckles and falls. I mean, there's a lot of good Fred MacMurray physical comedy here. I think we all know I like Fred MacMurray. I just thought this movie went on far too long and did not know quite who its audience was going to be or who it wanted the audience to be.
Yeah, I do think that it could have been a little more tight if you cut out some stuff. But I did think that some of the family dynamic did work between him and his daughter and him and Tommy Kirk a little bit. And then I thought that him and his wife had a good relationship as well at the end.
Yeah, I liked the wrap up. I liked some of the big, Papa speeches that MacMurray was making. I liked the stuff with the daughter. I actually kind of liked the standoff of sorts between him and the boyfriend.
Yeah, they had some good conversations as well. And I did think it was interesting about like that the boyfriend's point of view of how like he kind of used to getting everything he wants and then like he doesn't know how to handle it, where like Amy's kind of playing a little hard to get and doesn't want to do anything with him at one point. He's like, what's up with her, and has a conversation with Fred MacMurray about it, and then it goes into a lot of his abandonment issues as well. I thought that was well done.
Yeah, that part wasn't bad. I do like that we're to assume that on a plumber's salary they can take this extravagant weeks-long trip to Paris. That's with 3 kids. I don't know, that seemed a little bit of a stretch as well, because they mentioned he's a plumber about 25 times in the movie.
Well, I think the whole concept of the how they were introduced to us was that that the wife wanted to do this trip a long time ago, and then things kind of slowly, like they had kids and they had to keep pushing off. I think finally they saved enough money that they could do it.
Yeah, 20 years they had been trying to do it.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess you're right. I guess they had 20 years worth of savings for it. They did kind of hammer that home that they'd been wanting to do it for a while. All right, what else? Tommy Kirk and the ladies, we loved that.
Yeah. I mean, it is, like you mentioned, it is interesting to know that he was forced to play this ladies' man type of character, even though he was secretly gay to most of the audience. And
yeah, because to me the chemistry was not there. I mean, he had the chemistry with him and these ladies was terrible. And yeah. I don't know if that's because I know too much now, 60 years later, 70 years later, but like, I don't know.
I don't know if that was also the point where he was kind of like trying to be a ladies' man, but was failing at being a ladies' man.
Right. Because his dad knows better and he needs to learn from the best, take the tips from his dad. Yeah. Okay. I could see that. But yeah, it did not go off. I thought I didn't find that very convincing, I guess. Well, I'm curious here, Tim. I think you're going to have a higher grade than me on this one.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's going to be that higher. I do agree with a lot of the things that you said. I did find some enjoyment out of it. And I will say that for me, it was probably a C+.
All right, that's not too different then. I'm between a C and a C minus. I think if it was about 20 minutes shorter, I could see a C or a C plus, but I think I'm going to stick with my C minus.
In my mind, like, I enjoyed it a little bit to give it that C plus, and then also kind of looking back at Babes in Toyland, which I believe we gave C minuses to. And
did we really?
Yeah, and I would watch.
All
this,
right.
I would watch this movie over Babes in Toyland again. I mean,
well, shoot, I thought that was a D plus, Tim.
No, I think D plus is little.
Did we decide on a C minus for that? Babes in Toyland was so bad. Well, all right, well then I guess I have to give this one a C by comparison.
Yeah, I think the reason why we gave it a C minus was because of the last act of Babes in Toyland takes it from that D plus to that C minus.
It should have been that whole movie. It took it from a D to a C minus, I guess, for me. That movie, at one point I was maybe going to fail that movie. That is so bad, that stupid Babes in Toyland. All right, well, I guess then by comparison, I have to give this a C. So I'll meet you halfway on that. So, all right. I would say, though, for me, like bottom, 5 or 6 for sure.
Yeah. And for you saying that they filmed a lot of this in Paris, I felt like they still used a lot of green screen in this movie. Okay. Before we wrap, I'm glad you said that. I was thinking when they were on the boat, it looked like they were using a lot of green screen. And then I read like, oh, well, they were on the SS whatever. There were some points where they, Wyman and MacMurray are having a conversation. And it's so clear that the people behind them are not there. Yeah. So when I read that, I was like, they really filmed that on the boat? Because it seems like they were in a studio the whole time. Yeah, maybe reshoots or something like that. I don't know. Maybe. That didn't help it either, though. Yeah. I will say, we didn't talk about the title song. The Sherman Brothers, again, wrote the Bon Voyage song. I didn't mind that. That was fine. Yeah. Another great ditty from the Sherman Brothers. Of course, we'll hear about them in Mary Poppins. Yeah. But all right, well, I would say another misfire here. We've got this one, by the way, is not on Disney Plus. We had to swap this DVD back and forth. So there's another one. You had mentioned a couple times that in 62, there's only one that is available on Disney Plus. And I do not believe it's the next one either. No. Up next after Bon Voyage, we have Big Red, which is a dog movie. Another dog one. Oh, I guess we didn't mention this, but we talked about who almost directed it. We didn't talk about James Nelson, who did direct this. He directs handful of Disney movies. He directed New Pilot right before this, but he'll direct Summer Magic with Deborah Wally. I think that's Haley Mills. I think she's in Summer Magic.
Okay.
And then Moon Spinners, which is also has Haley Mills in it. And then we talked about this because of the one game that we have. He directs that Dr. Sin, alias the Scarecrow movie. That King of Movies game that we played.
Yes, the Leonard Maltin King of the Movies.
Yeah, which is a Disney movie, but it's not theatrically released. It's Magical World of Disney, but
one of the TV ones. Okay. Well, he did a bunch of TV shows too, and he directed episodes of Zorro. I don't know if any of those were ones from the Zorro movie they did, but he did direct some of the Zorro episodes.
Yeah, so he has a long history with Disney.
Yeah. All right. Very good, Tim. All right. Well, another MacMurray classic in the books. We will have yes, but those quotes are on classic. Yeah, I just trim it a little bit. Come on. There's no reason for this to be 2 hours and 11 minutes, Tim.
There's no reason for any Disney movie at this point to be 2 hours long.
No, and it's funny. We just talked the other day with our buddy Justin about that, like 10-year ago era where it was like John Carter, the Pirates movies, Narnia, like all the Disney movies were like 2 hours and 45 minutes. And it was like, dude, you gotta stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think most of the ones coming up are still in that like 95-minute range. Until we get to some of the bigger ones. Mary Poppins obviously is very long, but all right. Well, Tim, thank you as always, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody. There's always money in the banana stand.